and go hide in the loft.
I'm here to collect Mr. Hawthorne's rent! Shut that squealing! Or I can open squeal now! Christ almighty!
Johnny Fletcher busted into a farmhouse and property.
You bring me back that stuff to false.
Well, well, look at what we have here. Please don't kill me.
Gentleman John Fletcher! Damn it!
Johnny Fletcher! Don't make me chase you!
I didn't kill nobody. I didn't murder that family.
That don't break me down to me. Bounty hunter, you're a wanted man. Here.
Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds, and shall find me, unafraid. It matters not how straight the gates, how charged the punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Stand down and no one has to die today.
This only ends one way.
They'll kill you all.
Why not take your chances in a prison cell?
Alright, I'm coming out.
My lord, I have a report.
Speak.
Our latest assassination attempt on Lady Nocturne has failed.
I can see stronger measures are needed. Begin phase 2.
Captured! The notorious Lady Nocturne has been brought in through the valiant efforts of the Void Cobras.
Get on the damn bird.
Prisoner, take 5 steps, then stop and turn your right.
But the pirates of Velix Mortis are far from defeated.
My lord, I have a report.
Let's cut to the chase, since we both know that this isn't a social call and you didn't come here to waste time.
Fine. High Command is gambling that the attempt on your life by your so-called friends has made you willing to cooperate. Am I wasting my time now?
What fate will befall the disgraced former pirate?
The Minotaur sends his regards, traitor.
What does your High Command want, and what are they offering in return?
High Command wants many things, but it wants a show of good faith first.
Team 1, move up. Fire Team 2, covering fire.
Bravo Team 1, push up. Bravo 2, give us support.
What next for now infamous mercenaries, the Void Cobras?
I want every last pirate I used to run with dead. I don't want to be watching over my shoulder every hour of every day.
Now you die!
Will the Void Cobras become targets of Lady Nocturne's former pirate comrade?
Attention, crash override. This is Freighter Ebony Hawk. My ship just lost all power and thrust. We're going down. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
There truly is no honor among thieves. You rabble will turn on each other at the slightest provocation.
Okay, fine. Moving past you.
Find out on the next episode of Star Citizen Nocturne.
Jameson, you copy?
Touch me now, I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you.
Jameson, we require immediate emergency extract.
I don't know, man. It looks kind of hot over there.
Of interest in my life to AIDS.
Okay, got it working, Sarge.
Alright, Corporal, good work. Follow me! Y'all remember what Sarge said? Stay together, keep comms clear, and heads on the swivel. Clear. Okay, we're gonna secure the van, sweep the entire ship for survivors. Channel, you take point. Doc, you're behind me. Corporal, you're bringing up the rear.
Understood, Sergeant.
Taking track. start something. Oh my god!
Get the hell out of here!
Get him off me! They're getting in my armor! Ah!
I got into collecting bounties when a gang of bandits bushwhacked my wife, my best friend Coyote, and me. Meet the Jones brothers.
To take a look at the situation in which you find yourself.
That's Joshua.
Can have real bad.
What's the Indian word for
Next to him is Rufus the Doofus.
Heck, I don't know.
You're just trying to make me look dumb.
All right, I want to
Next
see
to
rifles
him is
on the
Lyman.
ground.
Remember those faces.
And 6.
You'll see him again.
8 hands praising Jesus.
The other ones, well, ain't no use in introducing. They're all dead.
Run!
Obadiah, get the saddlebags!
I got him!
I later discovered the Jones brothers were all wanted men. Figured I might as well get paid for taking my revenge.
Man, we still want it for justice.
The post is still on the wall?
So I hunted down the ones we didn't kill. Lyman, he sang like a bird. Rufus and Joshua were smuggling contraband down the river. Always to the same spot. I found a nice perch on a bluff above the river where I knew they would eventually be. During the war, I was a sharpshooter. Coyote's Whitworth came in handy. For weeks, I tracked them. Then I killed them.
here and saying that you can move the text.
If you like our content, we'd appreciate if you'd like, subscribe, and get notifications. Help us extend our reach by sharing our video content. And if you want to help us beat the algorithm, also leave us a comment on some of our videos. What is up, fam of Liberty? All right. Right off the bat, we've got Admin Jen and Admin Doug here tonight. Admin Matt will not be in, I don't think, and neither will Admin Elo. They got other things going on. With us is returning guest Ken Harbaugh of Valor Media Network and Meidas Touch Network, and first-time guest Kris. Kris, do you go by Kris or Christopher?
Let's go by Kris.
All right, Kris Goldsmith of Task Force Butler.
How's it going, guys? Good to be back.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you back again.
Absolutely. Glad to see you guys.
And
Kris,
glad to meet you.
I heard you were in 3rd Infantry Division. Is that right?
Yeah. Once upon a time, I was in 315 Infantry.
I wouldn't give a bean. They still sing that every morning at PT?
I mean, I've been out since 2007, but I imagine things haven't changed.
And that brings back some memories.
What unit were you in down there?
I was there when it was 24th Infantry Division, and then it changed over to 3rd Infantry Division, and my unit got reflagged. I was in the MI Battalion at the time.
Cool.
All right. So, anything exciting happening the past couple of days?
I think you should interrogate Kris about his lawsuit. We've had a rare win in this era of getting our asses kicked by Jones and Trump, and Democrats not lifting a finger to fight back, except for Kris Goldsmith.
Lawsuit.
There's a bunch of veterans fighting back. So I know that everybody feels like the world is on fire, and that's because it is. Not going to lie, but we have shown that as much as Musk and Trump want to be dictators, they're not, and they've got to get through us to pull their bullshit. So I just posted a TikTok about this. There are actually 3 related good news stories about veterans fighting fascism here in the United States. The first is, what came first was my lawsuit. I and a bunch of other veterans joined with unions and sued the federal government to get the doggy boys, Musk's guys, out of the Department of Education, Treasury, and OPM. Another lawsuit had already kicked them out of Treasury, so that was kind of moot for our first motion. So we did get them out of Treasury. They were already out of Treasury. We got them out of the Department of Education, and we got them out of OPM. Another lawsuit was filed by Common Defense and a bunch of unions related to all the veterans who've been losing their jobs. People who continue their service in the federal workforce after taking the uniform off. our population has been disproportionately affected because 30% of the federal workforce is made up of veterans. So they filed to stop the firings, and a temporary restraining order was issued. OPM has been forced to rescind their memo that resulted in the mass firings. And OPM was told by the judge that they have to go and inform all of the departments, all of the agencies, that they actually do not have the power to do what they did, and that they broke the law. Story number 3 is last week, Doug Collins, the goofy new Secretary of Veterans Affairs, who thinks his Southern drawl is like going to let him get away with bad shit. He announced that he was cutting like $1 billion in contracts. And he, did a goofy Instagram video where he's talking about how, these contracts were for things like leadership development and doing PowerPoint presentations. Now, I don't know about you, but do you want like doctors and shit to be wasting their time with that kind of stuff? I don't think so. I would prefer them to have help. So because of a massive public outcry, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs has been forced to go back to the drawing board, and he's going to reinstate a bunch of those contracts. Because while he did that stupid Instagram video talking about those like silly sounding office support things, he was also cutting contracts that were directly related to suicide prevention and homelessness prevention. So,
yeah, I heard about that.
Something
about the suicide hotline, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they were firing. They fired, I think, as many as 2,400 employees. Some of them worked for the suicide, the Veterans Crisis Line. So, because of public outcries, because of these lawsuits, veterans going on offense against this fascist administration, has slowed their roll. They're trying to steamroll our Constitution, and we're fighting within the bounds of the law to stop it from happening.
Awesome.
Good. Quick question. I know, I'm sure you've gotten this before. As we get closer and closer to a complete null and void of an executive branch that holds the power to enforce the law, what's the next steps to ensure that when we win these cases, not just your case, there's a lot of people. ACLU is suing. There's suit after suit after suit that's trying to slow down the onslaught of fascism, and I think everybody's kind of waiting for that first no, make me. Is there a plan for after that? Is there, because he's kind of done it, then backed off, then tried to change the rules, and then made Elon, well, no, he's not in charge of those. Now he's just a special worker. So they're trying to work around it, which is a good thing, because we're still waiting on that hard no, I won't follow. Is there a plan for after that? How do we mitigate it? Can we?
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, the Constitution, created 3 equal branches of government, and the Republicans do not have like a massive majority in the House or the Senate. I think that the mainstream media, basically adopted the idea from Trump that he won in a landslide and he came in with this giant mandate. No, the biggest part of the voting eligible public simply did not fucking go to the polls. More people who have the right to vote in our country did not go to the polls than voted for Trump or Harris, right? So I don't know how you could call that shit a mandate. So over the next few months, the weather is going to warm up across the United States. And I think a lot of people have been wondering, like, hey, why aren't there protests? Why aren't people getting in the streets? Well, we have a fighting season in the United States, just like we did in Afghanistan. If it's fucking snowing out, I'm not going outside and protesting, right? no one wants to fight in the snow. No one wants to protest in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
So what these Republicans are seeing in their town halls right now, where they're canceling and they're running home scared, they're going to see in the streets in May. That's when shit's going to start getting really loud. And that tiny majority that they have, a 1 vote majority that they have in the House, is not going to look very strong when you have massive protests all over the country.
To that point, well, first of all, I think we're hearing like a bunch of rattling. That might be you, Chris. Is your mic like on your beard, on that beautiful, healthy beard of yours? Is that what's going on? Is that what's happening here?
I don't know. I've been moving my table around. I'll stop touching it.
Oh no, it's all right. It's all right. All right. So don't
I
laugh
also
at me.
wanted to compliment him on his beard, but you got it. You beat me to the punch.
Yeah. This is all I get right here. So
yeah, it sounds like a lav mic that's like rubbing against fabric or something.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Let me
all
check
right,
my
so
mic settings real quick.
On that point, what do you think about the 50-51 movement that's going on? Because the media has not been showing it. Yeah, that was it. There it is.
Okay, I figured it out. Because I use all Apple products, they're all just like getting in fights with each other. So
Let's see.
Microphone on my phone in my pocket.
Oh my goodness.
That'll do it. we were hoping
well, the sound
for
jumped up too, so that definitely improved the.
Okay, so what do you think about the media has not been covering the fact that there's right now there's protests going on. I believe I don't know about in all 50, but I know I'm literally here covering the response for one in Boston as we speak. That seems to be going well. We have somebody speaking there for over a month now. I mean, almost every week. Almost every week in 50 states. And it's cold. It's not even season yet.
Yep.
The media's not been covering it. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So full disclosure, my wife is a journalist, right? So I have a bias towards the mainstream media that's probably a little more durable than the average person. Media has a bias towards that which is right in front of its face, and that is why protests in major cities like New York is a media capital. That's why those end up getting coverage, and you might have thousands of people showing up in Virginia that might not receive the same coverage. The answers to these questions on like why isn't the media covering stuff is often more stupid than you want it to be. it's the unfortunate facts is like, as much as people want to paint, the media as elite and like disconnected and all this shit, at the end of the day, they're just people. The same thing goes for Congress. The same thing goes for all, these corporations and CEOs. We are all human beings and we all respond to the same incentives. And if not having to leave your fucking office is like your preference, there you go. Like people aren't going to go out, and look at these protests.
Well, let's look. I mean, outside of the media, what's your take on what you see happening? And the fact that you mentioned that it's not marching season yet, and it's still growing. I used to be a little bit disillusioned right after the 20th or so that, oh my God, are we this far gone? And I have accounts where I'm on the MAGA train just to kind of see what they're doing every day and then kind of keep watch. And it's like no slowing down over there. But then I see that they're not slow. We're also not slowing down. Like, how does that feel? What are you thinking about that? Am I missing it? Should I be getting my hopes up?
No, I think like I said, the fighting season is when it starts getting nice out. You'll know when people start getting shot in Chicago and New York City again, because when it's nice out, that's when people get shot.
Yep.
That is when the protests will start. That's when you'll start seeing a massive movement. Now, one thing that's hitting people like immediately in the next few days are these Canada and Mexico tariffs. You're going to see the prices of virtually every fresh fruit that we have, because it's the winter season right now. Virtually every fresh fruit, the prices are going to go up. We are going to see people who have been so fucking committed to Trump that like they don't care about anything. They're going to, when Walmart starts raising their prices, we're going to start seeing like diehard Trumpers all of a sudden, you know, start becoming a little less passionate about supporting their Mango Mussolini. So I think that what Trump is going to experience is, as a result of all the cuts that he's doing to the federal government, the sabotage of all sorts of services that most Americans depend on but have no idea that they do at all. When all of these things start failing at once, you're going to see Trump's tiny plurality in the last election start to turn against him pretty hard. So I think that no later than this summer will we see a major change in MAGA and its rooting for things like Elon Musk and their destruction of the administrative state.
Do you think that those people will ever like go back when things calm down? They're like, okay, everything's good. We can go back to being supporters again.
So there was let's see, what's his name? I just met the guy who wrote this book, The Cult of Trump.
He's great.
Stephen
his
Hassan. He would be the person to answer that question, because MAGA is a cult. It is a theology. It is not a political belief system, because political belief systems are based in facts and observations. MAGA, like fascism, is based entirely on beliefs that do not have any reality behind them. It is all about the focusing of anger and rage. And because Trump now controls all of the levers of power, he is ultimately going to have a much more difficult time blaming the outgroups, you know, LGBTQ, women, the immigrants that he usually goes after. He's going to have a difficult time keeping the rage focused on those outgroups. They're going to start turning on him, because ultimately, I think we're going to see a breakup between him and Musk. And Musk controls as much media influence as Trump does right now. And when they turn on each other, the MAGA diehards are going to pick sides.
I mean, even in your regular, you know, just family, neighborhood, community, two narcissists do not last very long together. You know what I mean? They just don't. Somebody's going to want the power grab. Somebody's going to want, you know, more influence or whatever. They don't usually last too long together. I mean, that's the good thing.
We've been saying that for a while. You've saying that for a while. It seems like Trump's been a very good lapdog lately. I'm shocked. I'm shocked to see his elongated face in the Oval Office as boogers are spread on his desk. I'm shocked to see him sit down while Elon stands in the higher position, while he sucks his thumb in the corner and his cabinet worships Elon and not him. I'm shocked. I no longer know what to think. Has Putin finally browbeaten this guy to the point where even his ego is smashed?
I love when Tim calls him Vice President Trump. It's the best. It always makes me laugh.
Beautiful.
See, the thing that Trump respects more than anything is money.
Yeah.
And he, you know, as a billionaire, he's bigger than everybody he meets. But his personal wealth, even with all of the grifting and using, using the federal government as personal piggy bank to enrich himself and his family, his wealth is nothing compared to Musk. And Donald Trump wants what Musk has. So as of right now, it's advantageous for him to be his friend, unless and until he gets mad enough to try to take his wealth by force, then meaning Musk's wealth by force, he's going to treat Musk like the boss.
Interesting.
That's
Ken, you mentioned that Valor Media was trying to counter the effects of Bro Rogan. Can you shed some light on that? I know you guys were trying to.
Honestly, I think it's part of what you guys are doing as well. One of the mistakes we made in the 24 election was not meeting a certain category of voters where they are. The Democratic elite thought that they could get the message out on cable news, right? On MSNBC and CNN. The conversation's not really happening there anymore. It's happening in places like this. It's happening on podcasts. It's happening on Reddit, and God help us, it's happening on 4chan, right? It's happening in a much more diffuse way. And we're not enough of a part of it. We're certainly not enough of a part of it to counter the disinformation and the lies. And a big part of our failing is not lifting up the right messengers. I cannot tell you how many Zoom calls and conference rooms I've been in where we've argued over messaging. Where should the comma go, right? How do we get the message just right to convince those skeptical voters, the folks who didn't like either Harris or Trump but broke for Trump? You know what? The message doesn't matter if it's being delivered by someone they can't relate to or can't trust. But I guarantee you, if you put Kris Goldsmith on Joe Rogan, he's going to peel away 5% of that audience. And what we're trying to do at Valor Media is give those converts somewhere to go, give them someplace to come back to, because we've had this strategy before, sending out trusted messengers onto Rogan or Theo Vaughn or Sean Ryan, these manosphere shows. They make great points. They debunk the conspiracy theories, but the converts are left kind of empty. Like they don't have another ecosystem to go to. They don't have people to follow, so they go back to Joe Rogan. They go back to their trusted messengers who aren't trustworthy at all. So at Valor Media, we're elevating the kind of people who we think might be able to break through in these spaces. Navy SEALs, Delta guys, grunts who speak the language and can hopefully shake some people free of this grip that the manosphere has on them. Can I, Tim, call out one of the comments that just popped up in the chat?
Oh, hell yeah.
5 Alarm Fire, whoever that is, has to submit to the government the 5 things they did last week. The order, right? Tell us the 5 things you did or you'll get fired. I think that would be a hell of a lot of fun to workshop.
Hey.
I mean, if you're in any classified job, your 5 things should just be top secret, top secret, top secret down the list, right? But I mean, these ridiculous orders coming out of this government targeting people like this listener, arguably illegal, but at the very least, stupid, terrible management practice, and it's going to undermine the ability of our government to do things that really matter. I'm sure 5 Alarm Fire has a job that matters, and the thought that this person has to answer to Elon Musk, I don't know. It just made me mad reading the comment.
Let me help you out. 5 Alarm Fire, what you're gonna say? Number 1, binge watched Sons of Liberty on YouTube for the first 4 hours. Then Political Drain on YouTube for the second 4 hours.
That's a good one. My friend wrote, I upheld my oath to the Constitution and defended my country from enemies, both foreign and domestic. That's a good reply.
I like that one.
I was thinking about that myself when I saw that somebody was being asked to justify, and I knew who this person, I know who they are and where they work, and I would have just been like, Number 1, top secret. Number 2, secret code word. Number 3, top secret, etc., etc. I just, how did we get to this point? Why is this even? This isn't even legal. Like, who? This dude can't fucking fire anybody. What the fuck? Why are we kowtowing to this shit?
Listen, I'm withholding the answer. Did you ask your mom? And let's you know, because I'm trying to be professional, because Ken and Chris are here. I'm trying to be professional. So do not answer. Ask your mother, okay? Because that's
so. All right. So what do you think is the hold or the draw that guys like Joe Rogan have? Like, how does, if you break away from that, how do you get sucked back in? Like, what is it about him? Because I watched his show, and the only thing that was remotely intriguing to me is, like, the only thing that we have in common is we both smoke weed. I just don't smoke as much as he does, and I don't get on the air after I do it too, because it's weird shit.
I got a theory on this, and there's actually some good research behind it. But one of the things you notice right away about these shows and their audiences and why they seem to be so popular and have such a relationship with their audience is they don't start with politics. They don't lead with that. And I think, as an idealistic lefty, I'm sure someone's going to throw that in my face, but I'll just say it, as an idealistic lefty, my inclination is to lead with politics, lead with what really matters in the world. That doesn't work with everybody. In fact, that probably doesn't work with most people. It certainly doesn't work with my kids as I'm thinking about it now. Joe Rogan, 99% of the time, and I'm using him as a catch-all, right? Put in Sean Ryan or Theo Vaughn or Tim Pool or all of these clowns, right? They're not talking about politics. They're talking about conspiracy theories. They're talking about sports. They're talking about culture and dating and all this other stuff. And they get the audience sucked in that way. They build a relationship with that audience. And then the 1% of the time that they decide to talk about politics, it's absolutely toxic. It's terrible for democracy, but we don't have a counter to it because we haven't practiced that language. So what we're trying to do, Valor Media is just a part of it, but what I think we need to do differently is play in those non-political spaces. So we've got shows on sports and culture. We got a Navy SEAL hosting a show on meditation and mindfulness. But we know where this guy's heart is. We know his politics. And when things get really tough for us as a country, like say Donald Trump decides to run for a third term, this guy isn't going to pull a Joe Rogan and say, vote for the tyrant. So the trick is, in some ways, beating them at their own game, not hitting folks over the head with politics, building relationships before you try to change people's voting behavior.
Can I make a suggestion? In my humble opinion, and as if I know more about any of this than you do, one space. Whiskey. Yeah, you guys need a whiskey channel, man. The guys with the bar and the top shelf, looking at some Pappy or some Heaven Hill or something like that. I'm telling you, that's the way to go.
I mean, I could talk about Scotch all day long, but
yeah,
and I would get fuck all else done.
That's getting to it, actually. So part of the reason that, well, there's a few different primary reasons why Joe Rogan has become so influential. One is because he talks about random shit that people care about in their own personal lives, whether, that's MMA or, smoking weed or whatever. Like, this is something that people care about in their own personal lives, and they don't really have a place to talk about it. Unless they're, I don't know, living like the infantry life, and it's okay to talk about those things at work. The other thing is that they're just constantly producing content. Like, they are spending 4 hours just fucking babbling. And people always know, like, once they've listened to it, they can just be like, all right, well, you know, I know that I can turn this on and maybe something will be interesting. The third thing is that when you join, you know, whether it's MAGA or the Joe Rogan following, when you join this kind of like cultish thing, you feel like you have secret knowledge of something. And Donald Trump and Joe Rogan share an attribute that that trickles down to all of their followers, and that's that they believe the last thing that they were told wholeheartedly. Like the last person who calls themselves an expert to tell them something, that is the thing that they believe is true. So their listeners, I'm sorry if you listen to Joe Rogan, you're an idiot, in my humble opinion. Their listeners think that they're learning all the time because they're like, holy shit, that's the opposite of what I thought. You know, whether it's about like vaccines, like, oh, vaccines, I was taught my whole life, vaccines prevent disease. It turns out, you know, the new HHS secretary, fucking RFK Jr., says vaccines are actually causing all of our problems. I learned this new fact. I am smarter now. That is the process that Joe Rogan listeners go through for 4 hours a fucking day, every day. So they sit there and they think, oh my God, I'm so much smarter than everyone in the world. People who listen to Joe Rogan are looking for a self-help group, but they don't know it. And this is what they find is Joe Rogan telling them, actually, you're smart. Just listen to this expert who's going to tell you psychobabble, whatever. You believe him. Now you're an expert in whatever thing.
Right.
That is what we cannot. We simply cannot compete with that unless we stoop to their level.
Because we're not going to lie to them. But you know, they're coming into it. They're automatically vulnerable, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have even tuned into it. They wouldn't be so easily swayed to these crazy conspiracy theories. And I don't know, Ken might know, you guys definitely know. My husband is a Trumper. And yeah, me too. Trust me, it's tough. But the thing that I noticed too about it is they feed into that anger and outrage so well over, and they build it, right? They're feeding into that. They're building more and more and more over every little topic and every little expert that they bring in. It's frustrating to me, even when I see him around the house with just an earbud in. I'm just thinking to myself, what is he listening to?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm so tempted one of these days I'm going to get Tim to go on and change all of the settings on his phone and his tablet.
See, I think that's another really good point. You know, one of the key like tenets of fascism is to keep people angry and to direct their anger outwards at the outgroups. That is something that Trump is a master of. And if you like I went through after I came home from Iraq, I was extremely disillusioned. You know, I was lied to. America was lied to about weapons of mass destruction. And when that first big pillar falls, like I believed in my government, I believed in the army, I believed in the president, I believed in the American public who would vote for my best interests. And all of that crumbled at once. I became vulnerable to all sorts of conspiracy theories. When I left the army in 2007, I considered myself far right, which is different meaning today than it did in 2007.
Right.
I was libertarian. I was a Ron Paul guy. Ron Paul is the closest that I've ever gotten to like really actively supporting a presidential candidate. And Ron Paul is like the master of all conspiracy theories. He like the Oath Keepers came out of his campaign, literally. Stuart Rhodes was on his campaign. And that conspiratorial thinking, it comes from this idea that, well, if I can't trust these people that I trusted the most, then I can't trust anything at all. So all it takes for a normal person, to fall into that conspiratorial trap is for that one big trauma, that one big absolutely devastating shock to the system of having their trust violated in a way that like deeply affects their actual life. In my case, I spent a year in Iraq, like 2 weeks after they were like, stand down, do not look for weapons of mass destruction. And I was like, what the, like, guys, why are we doing this? What's going on? So,
I mean,
no,
I think Ken, Against All Enemies movie, that was the theme in there as well. It talked directly to that when people came home and why they were so susceptible.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I have to remind myself of, to allow my fellow veterans who have fallen into this trap a little bit of grace, right? And to not be the I told you so guy. It is so tempting, especially with everything that's going on now, with the FAFO effect like in full force. MAGA is finding out, right? And it would be so easy to say, you deserved it. We told you so. And, sometimes I end up doing that, but it's not actually helping the cause. We have to win the next election, right? And there are a percentage of these people who may have voted for Trump, but didn't vote for this. At least they didn't think they were voting for this, and we can get them back. And I think we need to be strategic and smart about it, and afford just enough grace to those folks to welcome them back in. Because you know what? I think Chris's experience may speak to that. There is no zealot like the convert. If we get some of those former MAGAs on our side, they are going to be powerful force multipliers. They're going to have stories that even we cannot marshal to stick it to MAGA and to expose the lies, because they've been there. They've been inside. So I would encourage everyone, as tempting as it is, to resist that temptation to be the I told you so scold, and to find ways to bring folks back over. Because at the end of the day, for now, we're still a democracy and we need votes. So let's get those votes.
I've been trying to adjust my messaging a little bit. Like I'm still going to take shots at MAGA, but I'm also going to, because if I don't lead off with that, people are looking at the content and they're automatically like, oh, this guy's got a beard and his Sons of Liberty, they're yellow or red and black. It's got to be my type of thing. And then I'm like, fuck Donald Trump. And they're like, oh, this motherfucker. So, but I also try to leave the door open to say, hey, listen, if you previously voted for this, bite my tongue, come back to the table. But I also try to work it in there, like, you can come have a seat at this table, but you don't get to fucking argue about who else is at this table. So if you got beef with fucking trans people or gay people, bigger picture, buddy. I don't know if it's working.
Here's the question. Can I require that they apologize first? I mean, you can come back. I'm just saying, own it first.
You'll never
Can you say I'm sorry first? I have no problem.
The party of personal responsibility doesn't really actually believe that. So I think you got to pick and choose your battles. And I think that's one where you just got to be like, look the other way for a second.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm cut out for recruiting from MAGA. As Ken really believes in me, and there are a lot of people that believe that I am persuasive to the other side. I don't think so. I definitely am too angry and too resentful to be nice. But if these former MAGA freaks want to like jump on the anti-fascist train without like skipping a beat, I'll fucking roll with them. But like, they can't expect me to be nice about any of the shit that they did or like any of the people that they associated with. You know, my days are spent studying and immersed in the worst of the worst of, I'm not going to call them conservatives or anything, right? Like neo-Nazis, white supremacists. These are not conservative ideologies on the real political spectrum. These people are extremists in the most absolute sense of the word, right? So because I'm surrounded in all that all the fucking time, I can't cool off enough to like talk to a family member who's been voting MAGA for 10 years now and like be nice to them. That's just not happening. The way that I feel is like, whether it's through voting behavior or not voting at all, or just generally being supportive of MAGA style chaos, these people, they are not blameless. They have been imposing costs on us. Like, I've been fighting long before I was, involved in studying extremism. I was fighting disinformation. I was fighting, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians who were targeting the military and veterans community, targeting Gold Star families. Nigerian scammers target Gold Star families because they know they get a payout. And they know that usually wife is vulnerable. And I couldn't get Republicans to side with America, with our troops, our families, and our veterans in that fight. So I can't not be fucking mad. They're good. They owe me 10 years of my fucking life. This is what I've been working on for as long as Trump has been a political figure. So I will never not be angry. It will take a hell of a lot of time and resources that they have to spend to bring me back before I'm ready to be nice to them.
Speaking of being immersed,
so hard.
Yeah, I do, for real. I mean, I'm getting there too. I'm rising to it. Speaking of being immersed in that, Task Force Butler. Let's talk about it a little bit. First, I see that you joined with Common Defense. Can you explain what that is? What is that partnership? What is Common Defense? How is that working?
Yeah, so I'm actually wearing two of my organizations. Task Force Butler is a small 501c3 nonprofit. It is exclusively for the purpose of training veterans to conduct an open source intelligence research into domestic extremists so that we can find evidence of criminality, and those extremists can then be held accountable in a court of law, whether that's cooperating with law enforcement for criminal charges or with victims for civil charges. Like, we are all about making it difficult and expensive to make the life choice of being a neo-Nazi. Veterans Fighting Fascism, also a 501c3. That is geared more towards public education, public outreach on what fascism is, how we can fight it. We were involved in the Against All Enemies documentary, helping it to get out to the general public. That's the type of mission that Veterans Fighting Fascism does. One of the problems that I have faced as a founder of these organizations is that tons of veterans, anytime that like we're in the news and there's a headline like "Meet the neo-Nazi hunter next door," the Rolling Stone, I get like hundreds of veterans reaching out and saying like, "Hey, put me in, coach." I do not have the resources or the time or the staff to engage in hundreds of volunteers. It's impossible. I know if people have never run a volunteer-based organization, I don't expect them to understand this, because I didn't understand it until I was stuck here. In order to make a volunteer useful to your organization, it takes like a year of training and investment in that volunteer. It would take me 400 years of my own life to like train every volunteer who wants to reach out to me, right? So TFB is and always will be a small team. What we are hoping to do in partnering with Common Defense, which is a much larger organization. It's the largest grassroots veterans organization in the country that engages in activism at the local level and at the federal level, so that Common Defense can give these veterans who want to fight fascism stuff that they can do right now. So they're not sitting around waiting for me to respond to an email that I'm never going to be able to respond to, because I literally get thousands of messages every week. So Common Defense was founded in 2016, really as like a movement before it was an organization. It was originally Veterans versus Hate, or Veterans Against Hate. And it was a grassroots response to Donald Trump coming out and talking about shit like the Muslim ban and all sorts of other, anti-immigrant stuff. And it has since evolved into a 501c3, a C4, and a PAC. So they can engage veterans, in purely community-based volunteerism, all the way up to, running ads against, a crazy idiot who's trying to end our democracy. So Common Defense has got many more resources, many more members, trained volunteer coordinators around the country. And they are on the regular training hundreds of veterans to engage in local activism that is actually like effective. It's not just going out and holding up a fucking sign in a protest, right? Like how to get laws passed, how to influence elections, how to get people to actually care about elections. That's what Common Defense is all about.
That's impressive.
That's awesome. It is. And it's, I will not monopolize conversation, but I just want two real quick questions because it's so pertinent to what I'm doing. So we have drill sergeant special ops units that do, I believe, more of what maybe Task Force Butler would do, and we cannot go over 30. Like I like to keep it at 20, right? And because of just that, I mean, it's volunteer. It takes training. You got to get through. We have to have people who understand how to do infill and all these types of things, right? So we're working on that at all times. And I would love the help, because what you realize is it's just a bunch of people who know a little bit of something trying to put it all together. I'd like to talk to you more about that, but I hear what you're saying, and that is just freaking awesome. I just wanted to say thank you for that work, and because I know what that is, and we look up to what you do to try to to make it happen. But the second thing is Task Force Butler, Common Cause, all of Valor Media. You guys are coming to the march then. You guys are coming to the Veterans March.
My marching days are over. Last time I was in a march, one of my buddies had his head stepped on by a horse, and that's it. I'm done. Like a riot cop got too crazy. This dude's life has never been the same. I'm done protesting. Not for me. But I support anybody else who wants to go do that shit. My days on the front line are over. Now I'm intel. I'm staying in the back.
That's understandable. It's understandable. Ken, what do you say? What do you think? What have you heard about it?
Can I first say, Kris is being his characteristic self-effacing self. His intel role has done more to disable and put in jail some of the worst actors on the far right than just about any organization out there. And the ROI on Task Force Butler, it's a handful of folks taking down these extremist organizations legally, right? They are subversive, but they are above board. I don't know how he pulls off both. But by collecting the intel and delivering it to law enforcement to hold these groups accountable, he is doing things that the ADL hasn't been able to do, that the FBI hasn't been able to do. Kris, I'm surprised you're not wearing your other shirt. Can I advertise it for you? Yeah, why don't you, if you've got one?
I just had them redesigned, so I'll never go out of stock of the Cops Don't Stop Nazis We Do shirts. So if anyone's ever seen me wearing that in my videos, we've changed the style, so their print to order will never run out again. So if you want to go to a protest wearing that shirt, stand in front of a line of cops and laugh, you know,
and when
don't get
Task
hurt,
Force
please.
Butler, delivers a dossier on these extremists to an attorney general or to law enforcement who have been ignoring it because it's just easier to, it's impossible to dismiss it at that point. And that has led to some historic prosecutions, jail time for these Nazis. And that's what Kris does. So I don't know. He might not think of himself as being on the front lines, but I sure do.
That almost sounds like behind enemy lines.
There you go.
Which, as a former intelligence professional, I can assure you, we definitely do that shit.
All right, so I was a forward observer. So, I mean, I'm kind of just doing the same shit that I've been doing for 20 years now. I can't help it.
I feel it.
But the key to being a forward observer is nobody fucking sees you. So,
right.
The life expectancy for a forward observer historically is like 14 seconds on a battlefield once they're discovered. So I'm very good at hiding.
So we have this this protest that we're a part of. We didn't start it. We were kind of invited along for the ride with Jessica Denson, a former Trump staffer, and Cliff Cash, a stand-up comedian. This is not a joke. So, they were on our live stream and we got to talking and we just decided, all right, veterans marching against fascism, 14 March. But I feel that it would be more effective if we have, like, this is not just, Big Sarge and the Sons of Liberty show. It's everybody, not just veterans, civilians as well. But I feel like there needs to be some type of really well-known person who, and not just a figurehead either. Like, I reached out to General Mattis. I'm not expecting a reply because the only email I have is his work email, and it probably was like, Gmail, get the fuck out of here. But a guy like Mattis could not just be a figurehead. Like, somebody who stands up and says, you know what? I'm not making a big speech here. Let's just fucking go. Somebody of that caliber, though. Like,
are you
General
familiar
Milley.
with Smedley Butler and the business plot?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what you need is a bonus army. So for
Did
those
a whole ass video on the bonus army.
Okay, there you go. So a quick rundown for anybody watching who doesn't know this history. General Butler was basically the General Mattis of the World War I, World War II generation. Like, he was universally respected, not just within the Marines, but all of the other branches and civilians. He was awarded the Medal of Honor twice. The dude engaged in conflict, all throughout Latin America. And what most people, I think, know him for is for writing his very short booklet, War is a Racket. He went from one of the most successful, basically enforcers of the U.S. creating banana republics, literally in Latin America, to regretting that and speaking out about it to the public. But while he was this universally loved former general in like 1932, a bunch of fascists, guys like Henry Ford, big names like J.P. Morgan types, like these old Gilded Age robber baron types, they tried to recruit General Butler into recruiting veterans, an army of veterans, to storm the Capitol and end our democracy. And this is how Task Force Butler got its name. What General Butler did was said, "Oh, okay, this sounds like an interesting thing. I'll go to your meeting." And he brought a journalist with him This is my buddy. I'm going to take notes with him. And they talked about their plans. The journalist, wrote down notes, and then he submitted everything to Congress. Now, unfortunately, because these people were so popular, or so powerful, so wealthy back then, there were no prosecutions. And the congressional investigation that did happen was more or less squashed. All of that is a long way of saying is that 100 years ago, the fascists recognized the value of a well-respected leader, a former general who could be used for a force for bad. We have seen what the disgraced former General Michael Flynn has been able to do with the QAnon movement, building a digital army, an army for Trump. If General Mattis were to, I think, look at what General Butler did and put himself in that historical context. I think that General Mattis, they call him the warrior monk, right? I think that he has tried to kill his own ego to all of our detriment. I think that he thinks, and I had a friend who a guy I served with went totally fucking randomly showed up at General Butler's house to ask him like, hey, what do you think's going to happen? How are you going to help? And I think that Mattis really needs to accept that there are very few people in this country who could actually responsibly stand up to Trump in an effective way, because the Democrats are not doing it. The Supreme Court is never going to do it. I mean, they crowned Trump a king last year with their decision saying that anything that Trump says is presidential business is no longer a crime. I think General Mattis is actually the perfect person to lead an anti-fascist movement. He could pick up the legacy of General Butler and save democracy. And I'm not using hyperbole here. I really do think that he is that big of not a political figure, of a historical figure. And with that comes, like they say in fucking Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? That's what I think General Mattis, he needs to not completely kill that ego. He needs to take some of it back and recognize that he has a greater responsibility, even though he's given, 4+ decades of his life to this country. We need more.
Yep.
I emailed him at his Cohen Group email address. So if anybody else has a better contact or knows the guy personally and can say, hey, it's time to saddle up, or at least hear these people out, we need that. And if he's committed to hey, look, I'm done, I'm out, I'm a civilian, I'm not going to jeopardize the rest of my life, because I understand he just got married a couple of years ago, I guess. There still have to be other people out there. I know there was some dirt attached to General Petraeus's name, and I served with Petraeus when we were deployed to Bosnia, and he was a 1-star. He was he's this classic kind of slender, dorky looking dude, but he fucking stacks bodies and he knows his shit. And even though there's some bad dirt attached to his name, fuck it, Michael Flynn is a fucking traitor.
Yeah.
Petraeus isn't nearly in that. He's not even the same sports game. So somebody, it can't who the fuck am I? I'm a guy with some YouTube subscribers, and I was not even a flag officer or anything. There's got to be somebody that can galvanize people that has worked these circles before, in McChrystal, McRaven, Millie,
That's
Kelly,
the point.
McMaster, any of those guys. Fucking somebody. God damn.
Who do you know? Who do you know? That's who knows anybody? We're looking. That's the point.
Yeah. See, the problem with generals is that they're a lot like senators. and that is that they live in a bubble.
Politics.
And it is not entirely of their making; it's of their staff's making. And I think that I don't know anything about Meidas's personal life since he's left. I don't know if he has a staff. I'm gonna assume that he probably does, just to like handle mail and shit. I think that he has been so used to being so protected from the voices of, you know, the E5s, the former E5s like myself, that he doesn't actually hear us. I'm not knowing shit about his personal life. This is just what I'm guessing. The closest thing that I have to compare it to is like, I worked as an intern in Senator Gillibrand's office, like 10 years ago. And I got to see how disconnected she was. She thought she was going to be president. And after working in her office, I could tell that abso-fucking-lutely not. She would never have a chance of getting Democratic nomination because her staff wouldn't let anybody near her who wasn't, you know, important enough. And because of that, she was so fucking disconnected from the everyday American, let alone the everyday New Yorker or her fucking supposed neighbors and constituents. She didn't stand a fucking chance in that primary, and most people probably don't even remember that she ran. And that is what I think a lot of generals are living like. And they could do a lot of good if they started listening to some of the folks who are lower on the totem pole.
Ken, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are I got hungry kids, so I got to bail in the chat. I left you a note in the chat, but no, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I think we need leadership from the ground up, honestly. I mean, air cover's nice, and I think the Meidases and McRavens and McChrystals of the world can provide some of that. But man, I honestly think we're in an unprecedented era in American politics where the leaders who are going to take us out of this might be people we don't even know yet. This might be the kind of moment that we look back on and realize that the leaders who got us out of it were ordinary people who never would have emerged in ordinary times. But, you know, extraordinary circumstances sometimes tend to expose real character in the least likely places. And I'm hoping we find that. I'm hoping it's not a general or a flag officer. I'm hoping it's someone like Kris. If it's not Kris, you know, I think we need a sergeant with some street sense to rally the troops here. You know, Dan Barkov, who's a host on Valor Media Network, talks about the moment we're in terms of World War II analogies. And he describes us as just about hitting the beach now, right? Berlin is still a year off. We are on the beach at Normandy getting shot to pieces, and we've just got to get to the seawall, right? And then we've got to get over the seawall and through the hedgerows. And then we've got to gather ourselves and resupply and get to Berlin. And we will do that. We'll get there. I'm also reminded of, sticking with the World War II analogy, Winston Churchill's observation about America, that we always end up doing the right thing after we have exhausted every other possibility.
Yep.
That's where we are right now. We are doing all the wrong things, but I don't know. Maybe it's my programming. Maybe it's the deep psychology of having my identity wrapped up in this, but I have to believe that America eventually will get this right. I talk to a lot of people who look at what Trump is doing and they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize you were right. And I think that's beginning to come out. Look at these town halls. Republicans are terrified of their own constituents. Democrats are holding town halls too. It's going very differently. This is a one-sided thing, and we need to capitalize on it. And I got to go make dinner. I love you guys. Let's do this again soon. Kris, can you bring them home solo?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Ken.
everything.
Thanks, Ken.
Later, Ken.
Bye.
So that's actually a really good segue into this kind of leaderless resistance type movement. So it's kind of a phrase I'm uncomfortable using because this is like the way the white supremacists have been organizing for decades.
Yeah.
One of the things about like all these veterans want to join Task Force Butler, like even if you've been in Intel forever, you've done HUMINT, like we have a fucking 2 million people who went to Afghanistan and Iraq. Like there are countless fucking veterans who are like ready to jump right into this shit, right? One of the things that we came up with to help people kind of focus their energy and actually start building their own local units was this idea for the Anti-Fascist Book Club. Have any of you guys heard about that yet? All right. So if people go to our website, veteransfightingfascism.org, right at the top of the page, they're going to see this button for the Anti-Fascist Book Club. We are encouraging people to create local book clubs. We give you a reading list. Right now, it's only like 10 reading assignments, maybe 12. And I am currently building a curriculum that anyone will be able to download and use. Today's Tuesday. I'm going to try to get it all up on the website this week. And my goal with this is to develop local leaders. Now, how do I get from reading books to developing local leaders? If you have the idea that you're going to gather a bunch of friends and you're going to sit down and you're going to read this stack of books, I mean, literally this is the books that I'm recommending. And you have to come up with a place to meet, a time to meet, who's going to be there. You know, as you get bigger, what are your security protocols, right? All of that shit is leadership development. The person who decides the logistics, right? They're your logistics guy. So when it comes time for protests, like you've already got your rank, you've already got your chain of command, you know your logistics person. So whether it's protests or going to a town hall with your local member of Congress, you are developing leaders when you start working on group projects like this, right? I'm not asking for book reports. I'm not asking for anybody to send me anything. The goal is to make it so that I could get deleted tomorrow and there's these little cells of anti-fascist book clubs all around the country where people are learning the same shit that I know about fascism and how to fight it. And they can go off and do it on their own.
This is genius.
This is the thing.
Smart.
Like the right wing, like the traditional Republicans, what used to be traditional Republicans, they have been doing something that the left never managed to do. And that is they have been investing millions of dollars in individual personalities and nonprofits. Concerned Veterans for America, which used to be Veterans for Freedom, which was a crazy pro-war fucking organization that just full of dickheads. One of them was Pete Hegseth.
Oh.
Pete Hegseth is now the Secretary of fucking Defense because billionaires on the right decided to invest in that guy 20 years ago. The left is never going to do that, and I don't think that we should try to rebuild the model that the right did, where we're depending on oligarchs. You know, my goal, and I suspect that a lot of the listeners of your show are to increase the idea, make more popular the idea that we should fucking eat the rich, and we should not depend on the oligarchs to support our movement. We should grow at the grassroots level. It's as easy as going to your local library, getting a fucking library card, using this public service and defending that library, because that's what the fascists are coming for next.
Yep.
Like they are, and they have been banning books already, right?
We've already started in Texas.
Yeah.
Just tearing them down.
So start your anti-fascist book club. Your library is your fucking headquarters. And I guarantee if you show up and you talk to your local librarian about your idea of starting an anti-fascist book club, you will have no better friend for research. That librarian will fucking do anything for you because they know that when the fascists come for the library, you're going to have their back.
Yep.
So that's it. That's my big idea to fucking take over the country.
That's a great idea.
I'm loving it. What's your thought about think tanks? So we're not, we don't need the oligarchs to back a movement, and don't want to depend on them, but we need people who may have more than just John or Joe or Doug to invest the facility, the library, the books, the building, the computer, the professors, the ideas, right? People who've read more, seen more. This idea of a think tank on the left, a few of them on the left, instead of just Heritage Foundation and the billions of think tanks that they have on how to disrupt that they've been doing for 40 straight years. Could we do the same without being inevitably inundated or gobbled up by an oligarch ourselves? Could we have these think tanks?
We do have these think tanks, but they are not supported the way that the Heritage Foundation is. One of the problems with I think philanthropy on the left is that they do everything on like a yearly basis. You get a grant that lasts a year, it pays for your staff, and people like me end up, in December not knowing if I'm going to be able to pay my people in January. The quality of life that I have been experiencing in this nonprofit world has fucking sucked, and like I want to walk away from it because there's no stability. I'm literally putting my life at risk. Like a neo-Nazi had to go to jail because he hand delivered a death threat to my mother's fucking house, right? And I still have to beg on my fucking hands and knees to get these foundations to offer me not even enough support to hire staff, right? Mm-hmm. That shit doesn't, it's not going to work. That's not sustainable. I can't do this forever. And my resentment is starting to come out of my fucking eyeballs. Like I am pissed that all these people with means are finding people like me and giving us just enough to stay in the game, but never enough security to know that like I'm going to be able to pay my fucking staff next year. On the right, we have.
How do we change that? How do
we stop depending on the fucking billionaires? We start with the anti-fascist book clubs. We do a true grassroots movement. We stop with the idea that, that we're gonna ever get what we need from the billionaire class.
It's the resistance. It seems like the resistance equivalent to crowdfunding. Everybody builds organically.
Let me answer the other part of your question. There are think tanks on the left. The Brennan Center has been doing war games for like what's going to happen during the Trump presidency. They were doing them this past summer. But the Brennan Center, which, is a pretty big and serious organization, like they wanted me to come in and design their bad guys for them because I did it for this stupid fucking movie last year. And they wanted me to do it for free. Like
always.
So I told them no. Like, if you want the best of the best, like they invited me because I'm the best of the best in my field. Like no one knows what the bad guys are going to do better than I do, but they wouldn't fucking pay me. They're like, oh, well, we'll give you a hotel and we'll give you flights. Like, okay. So I've got to spend time away from my wife and, pay someone to take care of my dogs so that I can provide you a fucking service that literally no one else in the world can provide you. Right? The economics says that that's a valuable fucking service, and they wouldn't pay for it. So these think tanks exist on the left, but they got to be willing to fucking pay.
Right.
Because
I bet you the Heritage Foundation has no problem shelling out any amount of money for whatever it is they think they need. That's the difference, man. That is the difference. Like, the fuck are you doing? What are you think tanking about? Like, what the fuck are you doing? What do you have your money for?
I come from a nonprofit background. I ran my own nonprofit for many, many years. It will wring you out until you are absolutely threadbare and there's nothing left. And the only way out of that, and I'm just going to give you my personal take on it, was I had one person. And I said, if you see me start coming apart at the seams, that's when you tell me it's time to get out. Right? I mean, it was like the only person who knew me well enough to know that it was really happening. And it wasn't just, I had a bad day.
Yep.
And I had to do it. I had to retire. And I retired 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And it was like, it's hard. It's hard work. And that's the downside too, is even if you get with another organization, because you run a nonprofit, it feels like they always want you to work for free. You're never, allowed to get paid. You know, I don't need a lot to live on, but I need something,
I have a question. Sure. Now, Kris, when you said when you were going off about the people that wanted you to work free, there was something that you said that kind of got my little ears inside my, not this one. This one's fucking mangled. It doesn't do anything, but the good ear was like, ooh. And it was when you said that stupid fucking movie.
Yeah. It's called War Game.
War Game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get ads for that on my Facebook feed. It's like Paramount, watch War Game or something.
Yeah.
Directed by or written by an Afghan vet.
No, that's got to be something different. So War Game was it was like a what if on January 6th, but the scenario was assuming that Biden was going to win and that Trump, who was not the president at the time, would try to storm the Capitol again. Like, the premise of it was Democrat overconfidence bullshit. So it was a fucking waste. And the people who made the movie are absolute scumbags. Like, we had very, very clear security agreements regarding the safety of me and my team, and they threw them out the fucking window because they wanted to win awards. And their movie was bad, so they didn't win any awards. So they burned me and my team for nothing. It was some real scumbag shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if I ever get back into indie film, I just got to honor my contracts. Got it. All right. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it. Like, in April, I'm going to do a crowdfunding campaign for a Civil War history thing to kind of see how that goes. And if
you should talk to Ken, man, he's made a handful of movies. Like, he's got a shitload of experience doing that.
Yeah, I won a couple of awards for some nerdy fucking indie stuff, but
oh, cool.
Sorry, what were we talking about before I fucking nerded out?
We were talking about how awesome you were and winning awards and making movies, Tim. That's what we were talking about.
So think tanks. So
think tanks.
Yeah, there we go.
So I'm a member of a think tank, and because they're perceived as aligned with Democrats, and the Democrats just lost this last election, they're having a real hard time getting funding, to the point that they had to get rid of a bunch of staff. And the remaining staff is now working part-time. So we do have think tanks on the left, and this particular one, and I'm not going to name it because it's a shit situation. It is it's one where I met my wife, or hung out with my wife for the first time. It's filled with some of my best friends who are the most talented individuals who have ever served in the Department of Defense, Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of State, you name it. You name the agency, like they've got members there, and they are some of the best patriots in the fucking world. And while this organization is suffering because donors don't want to give to losers, and they perceive any organization that's aligned with Democrats is now losers. While the organization is suffering, its members are suffering because its members are political appointees and career professionals throughout the federal government who've been targeted by Musk and his doggy boys. So they've all just lost their fucking jobs.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So, by the way, people don't talk to me for happy things, so I'm sorry if I bring it down all the time.
I mean, I don't know if you've watched my videos, but like, it's
We're
all
never happy over there.
fucking profanity, angry, like doom and gloom shit. So you're fitting right in. We're not here to sing Kumbaya and fucking hold hands, but I'll hold hands with people and sing with them. But
here's the point. Here's the point. I've made it one of my mission statements is to make sure we're keeping people angry. You got to stay angry as possible. You cannot allow constant barrage of disgusting, like just an okay smell after a while. Like you just get used to it, right? Like we want to consistently shock the senses to make sure people are still looking around like, no, it's still fucked up. I know it's been fucked up for a long time. You had to go to work, you came back, the weekend happened, you didn't die, but it's still fucked up. Look around. So keep on going, man. Because Kris, I promise you, we all know it, and all of us have in some way had to deal with that understanding of people's eyes getting off the prize because it just took too long. It just took too long. The war just took too long, so they forgot you were over there. Period. Right? The training took too long. So you forgot that we had School of the Americas. Like the pandemic took too long, so we forgot that you probably still need to wear a mask when you go inside, right? This is the same thing. Right now, we're I don't know if you agree with this, but I think it's pretty obvious. Like, we're under Russian occupation in the goddamn White House, in the Oval Office, right now. Not yesterday, and not going to be right now. So that needs to be reminded. We need to make sure we're reminded of that at all costs. We need to make sure that you're not sleeping so well, America. You're not sleeping so well. I don't need you in a long slumber. I need you to go to bed, wake up, and get back to work. So I'm with you, Kris. Don't worry about that.
To kind of combine these themes of talking about like the movie stuff and you talking about staying angry. I hope, and I don't know, because the movie industry has been going through a lot of shocks. Whether it's the strikes or all of the fucking conglomerates, these super conglomerate organizations that are, building movies and then selling them or destroying them for a tax write-off, right? I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but man, if we could get back to the 80s and the 90s that I grew up with, where in video games and in movies, we fucking killed the Nazis.
Yeah.
And we fought the Germans. And we fought the Russians, right? That kind of
that kind of propaganda can be damaging. I'm not going to say that it's all good, but like, with Elon Musk throwing up fucking Hitler salutes at the the now president's victory rally, I want to see some movies where some Nazis are getting capped. Like,
so I have not seen the research that the video games, any of the bad things that come from video games actually happen. That every time we try to find the research on that, it doesn't bear out. You would think, ripping someone in half and at looking at it at 6 years old is going to mess with your mind. I'm sure some way it does, but we can't find that evidence.
Mm-hmm.
What we do have evidence for is propaganda. As long as killing Nazis is okay, it's going to be a little bit harder to watch Elon Musk. Not just him. Mind you, we're acting like this is new. I remember this isn't the first time I've seen Nazi salutes at CPAC and Bannon, right? I remember me putting up videos 2 years ago about it happening at some other right-wing function. So we're acting like this is the first time we're seeing it, but they've been grooming this for a while. I want them pictures, man. I want those pictures. I want that. What was that one? What's his name? The best dead Nazi movies you could watch. It was like
Inglorious Bastards.
Inglorious Bastards. I need more of that.
I watched the movie. It's called Number 24, and it's a movie about Norway and the Norwegian resistance in World War II, and you can find it on Netflix. And this movie was made last year, so it has a whole lot of very, very subtle undertones, and it flip-flops between the modern era and the 1940s Norway and the Nazi occupation versus the resistance. But there's some points in that movie where I'm watching it and it comes back to the modern era, and it's the survivor of the resistance movement is giving a speech. And there's some moments in there where I'm just like, hell fucking yes, brother. And he's, like somebody was talking about, what about nonviolent resistance? And what about nonviolence? And, like Mahatma Gandhi. And he's like, Gandhi didn't fight Nazis. And he basically said, when Nazis show up, you fucking kill them. There's no other alternative. You fucking kill them. And the whole time I'm just like, I feel this like on a visceral level. I feel this today because we have that shit here. And obviously we can't go around fucking killing people that are Nazis, but we can goddamn sure punch them. And I don't care if anybody's like, oh, big Sarge advocate violence. Fuck yeah, I am. Punch Nazis, you fucking limp dick.
This is my salute for Elon right there.
Fuck yeah.
So on our website, if you want one. Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna buy some of that merch. That merch is cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I got to get into the store and like start producing more. There's been a huge fucking demand. I mean, if there's a bright side to Elon giving a fucking Nazi salute, it's that there's suddenly a massive interest in veterans fighting fascism. So
absolutely, yeah.
We've always said if only
you
we
have
could come
anybody
up with
who
the right
does
riff.
search engine optimization searches and knows how to like look for keywords, have them help you, because I was not doing it correctly, and somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, you need to add keywords, and I started doing it, and then fucking light coming out of the heavens and shit. Hell yes.
yeah, I gotta get that stuff figured out. But yeah, what's called GI Robot is, you know who I'm talking about, is like a DC character. I guess he's probably been around for forever, but there's a recent show Let me look.
What was the name of that movie you were talking about? You said Number 24?
Number 24.
Yeah, number 24. It's either going to be abbreviated like NO.24 or NR.24 because, America.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
I watched
G.I.
Trumper the other day.
G.I. Robot is in Creature Commandos, which came out in, I want to say, like September, October last year.
Okay.
So he's become like a super fucking popular character all over TikTok with people talking about hunting Nazis. So
awesome. Hey, you got
if you haven't watched Creature Commandos, you should watch it. I like all the fucking comic book stuff. It's good.
We got somebody in the comments talking about it. Yeah. William Brown, GI Robot, obsessed with killing Nazis. Speaking of the comments, Dr. Americo, send me a fucking email with the info that you got. Sons of Liberty Storefront at gmail.com. Bam.
Sons of Liberty.
Oh, they already did. My bad.
That's great. They have Meidas contact
You were
info.
so proud. You were so proud of that moment too, Taylor. You're like, I got it in.
What can I say?
Out and get
I finished last.
You're a nice guy, man. Nice guy. Let me. I got 5 real quick for the little guy. I could be back though if you guys are still here. I got
What's
All right, I'll leave. Fuck you.
That fucking
I said yes.
I'm not in charge. I don't know.
that fucking orange dude still yammering on his goddamn state of the disunion. I'm not watching it, so I don't know. But I'm not seeing shit blowing up yet. But I'm not really paying attention. I'm trying to focus on this. That Mikey wants me to play fetch. What cat plays fetch?
I know Grace is in here asking me to scratch her butt, so it's always something.
I feel like I heard something about early on, like back in July or August or something. It was like Task Force Butler was trying to like insert people into MAGA spaces to like, for whatever reason. Was that a thing, or was that?
So
are we blowing OPSEC here?
I was gonna say, are you like?
So I do infiltrations. Almost like 99.9% is online.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people in this OSINT world who would tell you like they have AI tools that do this and that and monitor all it. AI tools are fucking useless for what I do. Most of it is simply just kind of like following the trends the same way that you do on normal social media. Like if you know what's popular at the moment, you know where to look for what's going to happen next. That is something you can only develop by staring at this horrible shit all the time. So we infiltrate these online spaces where these people talk about planning protests and, committing violence and all that shit. That's where we gather evidence of criminality, criminal intent. But I got involved in this whole thing of this fighting fascists because a buddy of mine that I served with, most hardcore motherfucker I have ever met. We were both in 315 infantry at the same time, which became 1st of the 30th. He called me out of the blue, and every time he does this, my life fucking changes drastically. Calls me out of the blue and says, "Hey Goldie, I want you. I joined a neo-Nazi organization, and I want you to help me take them down." This is like 5 years ago or something. We had never had a discussion about anything even remotely close to this topic. So this was totally out of the fucking blue. And I hadn't heard from him in like a year at this point. So long story short, he infiltrates in person Patriot Front, which is the Best Buy uniform neo-Nazis that jump out of U-Hauls. So he infiltrates the organization. They want him because he was in the army. He was a combatives instructor. He's got, you know, legit survivor skills. He was a sniper. And they want him to train him how to fight. And the way that he stayed sane was, you know, the dad that teaches a kid how to swim by throwing him into the lake and then driving the boat away. That's how he taught them to fight. So he, a combatives instructor who's built like a fucking pit bull, would just beat the shit out of these Nazi shitheads. And that's how he stayed sane.
That's amazing.
And he gave me the online access to their Rocket Chat, which is like Slack. It's an open source version of Slack. And it wasn't until I was inside of this organization digitally that I came to realize that when he was using the term neo-Nazi, that he was not exaggerating. I thought he was talking about like some crazy militia, some MAGA shit. Until I saw them like talking about reading Mein Kampf and describing what they were seeking out and spreading as propaganda and talking about, you know, radicalizing themselves further. I mean, not talking about this, but saying that they're radicalizing themselves further and they're radicalizing their family members into neo-Nazi ideology. Ever since I saw this shit, and this was like 2019 or 2020, like I haven't been able to look away. And like now that I know these people are out here, I just want to fucking ruin all of their lives. And we've done a pretty good job of that. So a year after that, that infiltration, Task Force Butler came about because I got into this, I don't know, threat intelligence industry because I got really good at spotting online threats. And Task Force Butler was born because a client wanted me to teach other veterans the skills that I did, not necessarily infiltrating groups, but threat analysis. Unfortunately for me and my pocketbook, the client cut us loose after asking me to start a fucking nonprofit and left it on my lap. But I believed in the organization. So I've been fighting for it ever since. So I think we're going to be 3 years old soon, which it's been a fucking long 3 years, man.
It is. Yeah.
I know. I was hoping fucking November of last year, I would be like, all right, now I can relax for 2.5, 3 years.
Nope.
Nope. That was my plan, was like 2025. I was going to like take a step back and let some other people kind of start doing stuff. And then I was going to like go do some indie film shit. Fuck.
Yeah. No, dude, the best case scenario was the stolen election lie happening again and having all that crazy shit. Right now, you'd have all the Republicans in Congress lockstep with Trump saying that the election was stolen, impeaching Kamala. Like, it would be every bit as messy. Not every bit as messy. It would be pretty fucking messy this time of year. Like, we'd be in for a long fucking fight. There was no chance for us to fucking relax. There was no reality in which shit wasn't going to get worse than it was in 2024.
Right.
I just need a beach chair on the beach with like a tropical drink in a coconut with a little paper umbrella. And
I was doing that until yesterday. It was very nice.
Scantily clad women or something for
Here's
me,
the
because
thing,
that's how I rolled.
I don't think that any of us are really cut out for a boring life like that. I don't think we would last.
I just did 5 days.
I'll give it a shot.
I did 4 days in Mexico. I didn't answer a single work email. I didn't work.
That's the way to do it.
If you see me like, I got sunburn all up in here and it's killing me. So that's why I'm touching my face so much, because it just fucking hurts.
Where did you end up going?
Worth it. Went to Cancun. It was absolutely fucking gorgeous. All-inclusive resort. My wife did not want to leave the resort. We didn't do any adventures, which was great. So the furthest I went from my room was the beach, and it was awesome.
That's an ideal vacation for me. I would agree.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No decisions had to be made for 4 or 5 days. Like the biggest decision was which restaurant that is all, it's all included. Which restaurant do you want to go? Like, do I want to drink? Do I want to drink a Mai Tai or a pina colada? Like that. It was great.
That's what we all need. We all need to like take a couple of days. It doesn't even have to be Cancun. Just go somewhere. But we can't do that because there won't be shit left to fucking come home to.
Oh my God, it's so true. We keep talking that we're going to have like a convention, or at least for us a retreat, Sons of Liberty retreat. It's never going to happen now because we're just freaking busy all the time.
Like when Kris said that thing about
do it, man. I 13 months ago, I fucking hit rock bottom. It took me almost a year to recover because I was like pedal to the metal really for like 10 fucking years. During the Trump administration, I worked for Vietnam Veterans America, one of the big 6. And I was going to school full time. I was working full time. I was running my first nonprofit in what was left of my non-existent free time. I went from got married. My wife was in New York full time. I'd be in DC in the summer. We were traveling, right? So from Trump's fucking trip down the golden escalator, I had been just running at fucking max speed, and I fucking hit such a wall. Literally could not fucking work for 6 months at all. So highly recommend you schedule, don't call it a break because you'll get in your head about relaxing or whatever. Take a strategic fucking retreat and chill out for 2 fucking weeks. Detox from your fucking phone. And I'm talking not to you guys on the screen. I'm talking to everybody watching too. Like, you have to schedule time off. If you don't schedule time off, you will never take time off. And if you never take time off, you're going to burn out and you're going to be useless for the fucking movement, and they will roll over you. The fascists will roll over you. If you end up like I was a year ago, where 6 months I could not work. I was so fucked up. That's how the bad guys win.
We're really good at telling the Sons of Liberty fam that they all need to, keep an eye on their mental health, take breaks, do all that. We are terrible about taking that advice.
Mm-hmm.
Do as I say.
Went to the Battleship North Carolina last weekend.
I don't know.
We're on your phone the whole time.
It seems like as soon as I left, I overheard. I heard somebody talking about some white people stuff. As soon as I left, who got burnt? Who was burnt?
Right here, man.
It doesn't take us long.
I went to Mexico, and I'm fucking, care about the bald head because this shit burns real fucking easy.
Yeah.
And didn't do right here in the fucking bottom lip, and
ouch.
And that's the most hurtful part. Like, you can't even smile or talk. It's crackling.
Yeah.
I've got about 3 minutes in the sun, and then after that, I go from 0 to Mr. Krabs levels of redness.
Dude, this was SPF 50 all over my body, and I'm still fucking red.
Yeah. I'll put on the SPF 100. You gotta you can't little dabble, do you? You gotta the whole bottle, just
Hey,
so I got these giant white smears everywhere, looking like seagull shit all over me. I still get burnt. I can't fucking win. So I feel that. I don't think I've ever been sunburned on my lips though, or right below it.
Oh, it hurts so bad.
That's a new level of torture.
You got that special what is that? Potato farmer skin right there, man. Straight from Ireland, right? You're meant to be in clouded areas for most of the year.
I mean, that's where I hail from. So
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my ancestors were definitely snow people.
Funky skin where we tan very easily. I have my dad's skin. Half the Ukrainian family is very, very pale, and the other half is dark.
Oh, so do you burn and stuff like that?
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Never. But of course, then again, I've also lived in Florida my whole life, so maybe that helps. I don't know. Maybe I've broken my skin in to the point that, you know.
See, I was gonna say I'm getting my eye for this now. Like I was like, you look like you got the skin of a Southern woman who's okay with the sun. It's not too bad.
I'm definitely okay with it. Definitely, yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Well, enough of that. I apologize. I just came and I heard somebody talking. I figured I'd see what's going on.
We're allowed. We get off topic all the time. It's all right.
Do you get sunburned, Doug? Like, is that a thing for you?
I mean, you can.
I don't know. Sure. Why are you laughing?
I'm sure.
Look at me.
Sure. Now, listen. I was told in Chicago, when they were giving us the SPF number and how you're supposed to take care of your skin, they said yes, even though you're black, you can also get skin cancer. You can also get burned. So I know this logically, academically. I've never in my life actually been.
I remember as a kid learning that black people could get sunburn from, it was either Real World or Road Rules on MTV, where like all of them went to the beach and one of the black women got like real fucked up by the sun.
I think I remember that actually. Yeah.
Was she dark? Was it dark or like kind of more light skin?
I think. I mean, I don't really remember, but she was pretty fucking confident because like people were like, "Hey man, like the sun's fucking bright out here." And she's like, "Nah, I'm good. And she was like skin peeling, like white people shit. Yeah.
So I know it can't happen academically. I've just never. Also, I'm Jamaican, so I mean,
that comes in handy.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Mom is just a little bit darker than you, Jen.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she's like, because Jamaican has a whole lot of of Irish kind of like the settlers. Yeah, so it's you get some, especially like in the farmlands. It's completely opposite of America, I know, but in this farmland, like you'll get a lot of that lighter skinned Jamaicans, but my dad's super dark and I came out dark, but I don't get it. I cruises, stand around the sun, all of that. I never had it. Nobody in my family's ever had anything like that. So I wish I could answer your question, Tim, but only academically do I know.
I feel like that answers the question more or less, at least from a small perspective. And we obviously in this chat don't have a huge sample size, but I mean,
I'm gonna bring some people in.
I'm all for it. If I'm the only white guy in the room, I'll just be the quietest motherfucker. I'll just be like, "Yep." Mm-hmm.
I want to ask a question about this FAFO though. While I still have you here, I mean, before we go completely off the rails, and start talking about hair color next. But I don't have the balls to take my hat off on camera. It's pretty bad. All right. I want to talk about this FAFO. Ken, God love him, is a more decent, thoughtful, what else do you call it? What would you call this? Forward-thinking, future-thinking person than maybe I am. And I like to think that I am one of those. I try to think about how to be, tactical.
Diplomatic, I think, is the word here.
Diplomatic.
Yeah. And I was thinking with prescient, but that might not be there.
Well, I use tactical because if it can do the cause, if it where it lands and why I'm doing this, I can do pretty much anything, I believe, right? On the other hand, I feel like the more that Democrats are cowering and waiting for this turnover of 23% of goons and idiots and cult members and mouth breathers, knuckle dragging, fucking idiot, bastard, wife beating, bitch ass motherfuckers. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. The more we try to be the better person. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that when they come out fighting and slapping and beating down trans people and talking to Zelensky like a child, even though he's actually the war veteran, their side loves it because they see some sort of strength, no matter how unreal or superficial it is. I think we cower too much. We're afraid to show strength too much. We're afraid to slap a hoe. We're afraid to do it. We're afraid to be mean. And I think we lose for the sake of that. I'm sure it's not enlightened. I'm sure it's not enlightened, but
you are right. So I am of the belief that the Democratic Party is failing if there cannot be a male equivalent of Jasmine Crockett.
Right.
Jasmine Crockett is one of the most talented and effective communicators in modern politics. There is no male equivalent. Now, people will say, "Oh,
you said that's so perfect." God damn it, I love it.
Buttigieg, he can go on to Fox News and he can talk, and that is useful. And Pete Buttigieg is a beautiful communicator, and he can so eloquently put anybody in their place in a respectful debate. But we need Jasmine Crockett's too, and we need male versions of that, because without male versions of Jasmine Crockett, and what I mean is aggressive, right? We are not going to be inspiring 18-year-old testosterone-filled men like I used to be.
We had one, and he's turned into a right winger now. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a number one. I have a crush on Jasmine Crockett. Number two, if anybody can reach out to her and get her on the show, I would love that. And number three, I feel like I could give Jasmine Crockett a run for her money.
Yeah.
In what?
In what way
universe?
I'm just saying, get her on the show and set it up, and we'll have a duel. We'll have a duel, a respectful, tasteful, good-natured duel, but a duel nonetheless, and we'll see.
So this is actually let me tease something, and I can't give too many details because I agreed that we wouldn't start talking about this until 2 days from now.
Oh, it's just us,
but
man. It's just us.
There's a podcast now. And when you said FAFO before, I thought somebody spilled the beans, because next week, assuming everything goes according to plan, there will be a podcast, and we will be having conversations exactly like this about how there needs to be male equivalents to Jasmine Crockett. Right now, there is not room in the Democratic Party for that. We have, I think, to our own detriment, kept a level of decorum that we expect from all of our politicians that make Jasmine Crockett an outlier, and the vast majority of Democratic politicians, I think, resent the way that she presents herself. But that is a total disconnect from the people, from the voters. I think The people and the voters fucking love Jasmine Crockett, and they want to see more of that. And I think that the Democratic Party needs to start investing in men who can perform the same way, who are willing to go to battle, who are willing to say the thing and stoop to their fucking level. If I were ever to run for Congress, and I promise you, I will absolutely never fucking run for office because I do not have the patience to deal with fucking voters, right? I'm not that good a person. But if I were ever to run for office, my sole promise would be to ruin Marjorie Taylor Greene's day every day until I am removed from office. That would be my only campaign promise. I wouldn't campaign on veterans issues. I wouldn't campaign on national defense. I wouldn't campaign on saving democracy. My one campaign promise would be I will follow Marjorie Taylor Greene every fucking second of every day. I will not let her fucking rest. And that is what we need. We need people. I'm not willing to run for office. I'm not doing it. I want somebody else to. I've got fascists to fight, like in my own way, right? I'm busy doing my part. What I need is somebody who is willing to say, I'm going to make Marjorie Taylor Greene fucking quit. I'm going to make Lauren Boebert so fucking frustrated that she leaves and never comes back.
I would love to do that. I would love to do that. But
until the Democrats start investing in verbal assassination, where they are just ruining someone's opportunity to be a right-wing fucking propagandist, to pull their right-wing stunts, like we're going to keep losing.
That doesn't make good corporate money.
But you know, the trick to that is not only just to have the knowledge, but to be sharp and fast enough, right? To just come right back and you're on it, and you're on it, and you're on it.
Yeah.
I don't have that, right? I mean, it's like if somebody pisses me off or upsets me, I just mentally shut down. I don't have it. It's not.
Oh, I go on the attack.
You do, and I can do it, but I have to give it an hour, come back to it, and then I know what I'm going to say to you.
Oh, so I'm right there. Like I'll be on the fucking lunch break or whatever, and I pull up YouTube comments and some dipshits in there like, what does DD214 stand for? Is that the number of donuts you ate? I'm like, no, that's the number of times I gave your mom a pearl necklace, you fucking bitch.
Oh, hey,
just not even, and then I type it out there and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna get shut down by YouTube, and then I'm like, fuck it, we ball, let it ride. They never come back. There's been like one guy who came back a couple of times, and I was just like, I'm gonna farm this motherfucker in the comment section, and I'm just gonna keep pissing him off and saying shit, and I'm like grabbing screenshots of it, and I'm like, this is gonna be my next video. I could not run for office though. If I ran for office, I would literally it would go like this. Today I'm announcing my candidacy, and for the next 365 days I'm going to spend my entire time talking to you about my misspent youth, my criminal record, my misspent youth, et cetera, et cetera. And I would never get around to talk. People would be like, well, what's your thoughts on the thing? And I'm like, I would love to talk about that, but first I got to admit something. I got an Article 15 when I was the NCO in the Army, and for having a threesome with my wife, and I need to get this out in the front before the fucking Republicans dig up the dirt on me. And that's literally how my fucking every single day would go. So I could not run for office ever.
So here's the problem. We were just talking about how you're going to go on offense. So I just started a Substack like last month, and Substack has its own problems. It promotes and allows Nazis to like actual fucking Nazis to monetize. Took me a long time to just say I need to fucking do it because it's the easiest thing and I have too much on my plate. So I'm on Substack. It's not the perfect platform, but the name of my Substack is On Offense with Kris Goldsmith, because if your plan is to play defense, you're fucking losing.
Yeah.
Like in the modern political era, if you play defense, you fucking lose. That's it. In the age of Trump, you lose. If you respond to what your opponent says, you fucking lose. You need to keep fucking just moving the goalposts on them. Like, you just need to make it impossible for them to fucking respond to you.
Attack.
You know what I'm reminded of when in in the year of our Lord Trump's first running, when they asked him, like, you have called Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig, and have done this and that and such, and he says, because she's a fat pig. And everybody in the crowd goes, yeah. Oh. Stop apologizing is the point. He's wrong. It's disgusting. He's gross. But he is narcissistic enough to believe that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anything he does is okay. And he lie about it. And if he's caught in a lie, yeah, he did it. And you love it. And unfortunately, the masses, I'm not saying people are stupid. Masses are, though. They respond to that with, okay, I love it. Okay, maybe I do like that threesome story. Maybe that's what's up then. Like, maybe he's cool for that. Trump showed us that the only people who are clutching their pearls about who had a record, clutching their pearls about who did this or that, while the 45-time felon who just got convicted twice for what do you call that? Civilly liable for raping a woman. Like, we're thinking about it the wrong way. It's the FAFO thing. At some point, we have to realize that, the guys who are really, really, really good, the guys who have spent their whole life planning for office by running the student council, never taking drugs. They went to OCS and then came out just in time so that they could have that on their record. And then they went to go work for the Supreme Court or for this mayor over here. It's over with. It's over with. People want a fighter. People want something real. People are pining for the left's Donald Trump. And that's fine. Like, it will never actually be that gross. I don't want to. But we gotta be that real. We have to be that real. Like, is it that bad to say fuck? Like,
yeah.
It can't be bad.
No, I think, we are in an extraordinary time, and that takes extraordinary measures. And I think that that decent people can sit down and evaluate the facts and come to the honest determination that sometimes being an asshole is for the better good. Yeah. And that is something I have embraced to the fullest extent. I am someone who suffers from PTSD, and a big part of the way that my PTSD manifests is anger, and I'm unable to get over things, right? I have chosen a socially acceptable way of expressing my anger, and that is by ruining the lives of neo-Nazis. That is, getting neo-Nazis thrown in jail and getting neo-Nazis, last month we got a $3 million judgment against Patriot Front. Ooh. Thanks to our research, right?
Wow.
It brings me great pleasure to know that there are neo-Nazis who can't travel around the country the way that they used to. Their freedom of movement is restricted because of these judgments, because of these arrests, because of these convictions. There's the neo-Nazi who showed up at my mother's house just before Christmas in 2022. He went away for 6 months. He didn't get to spend Christmas with his family.
Beautiful.
That makes me feel fucking great. And I can't wait to do it again. And I hope he fucks around again, because next time it's going to be even worse. He's going to miss a lot more Christmases if he fucks around again.
Yeah.
So
man,
being an asshole is sometimes better for America than being apologetic and always speaking in turn.
I just think people need to see it. I think people need to see it. People need to get shocked by it, and until they realize that, okay, this is the new left. Like this has to be the new left. We're not going to berate people for being trans or being gay or being black or being undocumented. We're not going to berate you for your sexuality or your money or for your economic status. We don't mind berating you for being stupid, idiotic, and anti-democratic. We don't mind berating you for being a bully. We don't mind slapping you around if you ask for it. We have no problem with it. We don't mind guns. We don't mind shooting them, and we don't mind carrying. Since you insist, we don't mind. We don't mind carrying them either. Then I'd rather not. I'd rather my kids be safe in school. But since you insist, no problem. Just don't ask me if I'm packing anymore, right? And I think they need to hear it. I think they need to see it. I think they need to actually feel it. And there needs to be a new left, because it's not cool. I wanted to be like, I was one of those kids wanted to be. My kid wants to be a police officer. I'm scared that he actually means it. But if he said soldier, I'd be like, yeah, I get you. Like I was that used to be cool. G.I. Joe was cool. Like I used to be fighting Cobra, fighting the bad guys, dropping elbows off the top rope onto Randy Macho Man Savage because he's the bad one, because he's on the bad side. It's good, right? And we have gone so far where we're too polite. And I think if people saw it, if we felt that. And I don't know where you said that people are saying that they don't like it in Jasmine Crockett. I haven't seen that, but if that's the case, it's so amazingly short-sighted. It's hard to believe. But I know online there's a bunch of us.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know who's going to run for office. I'm going to leave here, guys. I'm going to do the family thing. I have obligations as well as overnight coverage with Boston. So I'm going to leave. But Kris, I respect what you do so much. And I know that some of it comes from because I set out to try to do the same thing. And it is a daggone tasking. It's more than just a task doing it. The task is knowing that you have people under you who are doing it, who are dependent on you to keep them safe, right? To keep their morale up, to ensure counseling. If there was ever a chance that I could get you to speak to anyone on my team or me, or anything, even a daggone hello, it would mean so much. I'm just going to leave it with you. I just want you to know that man. Very respected. And I plan on reaching out to you again. If you would, I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah, you got my contact info, man. Reach out.
Got you. Guys, Tim, you know what's up. The rest of you, fuck out of here, man.
Literally.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
I'm actually going to suggest that we wrap this up too, because we've been at it for over 2 hours at this point. And
I have a 70-pound disabled pit bull that needs to go to the bathroom, y'all.
Yeah.
I got to carry his big ass outside.
I see Kris over there guzzling cranberry juice or something. What's that?
It's vitamin water.
Vitamin water.
Yeah.
Not an ad.
I've had a couple of these, so
all right.
I do want to say thank you for taking time to come
so
and chat with us. I've realized that just based on what you said, you probably are intensely busy, and that you took time to come out here and talk to us is absolutely. I also love your beard. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
It's a great beard.
It is.
Sad story.
I almost have a little bit of beard in me.
So the one like beard line of beard products that I've ever liked was called Real Bearded Men, and they're fucking great. And because I'm a like OCD, I don't order one of anything. I order like a 4-year supply. When I find out I like it, that's it. I am so glad that I fucking did this because from what I can gather from Instagram, I don't know if the account was taken down or if it's still there. It looked like the guy went full MAGA, and then January 6th happened, and then and the website disappeared. So I think that my beard guy, who I was loyal to for 8 years worth of beard oil, I think he went full MAGA and
damn it,
lost his business. So if anyone's got a good brand to recommend, I'm in the market. I've probably only got like 2 months left, and then I'm a shit out of luck.
I'm just imagining you with like an 8-year supply of beard oil. It's some room in the house. It's like you open the door and it's like
it's about a shoebox size of like little fucking bottles. Dude, MAGA or not, the guy was like, he was a fucking chemist. He made this beard oil that smelled like not in a bad or overwhelming way. It smelled like root beer, which is my like favorite fucking flavor. And I could not imagine how I could possibly reproduce that and make it on my own. And I am so sad that they no longer exist.
Mine smells like sandalwood, so I kind of got like that beachy kind of vibe going on. I do a beard shampoo, and then when I get out, do the combing and the beard oil, and then in the morning put it on too if I'm not showering in the morning. I also have one of those. It's like a negative ion brush, so it's like a steamer. It's like a hairbrush that's like shooting jets of ion and steam into my beard, because I got really curly hair. So like shit, if I don't do anything to it, I'll just have like fucking mountain man shit going on. It's ridiculous. So yeah, if people have got tips, I wanted to try this guy until you were like, yeah, his MAGA went out of business. And I was like, God damn it.
That's what I was thinking too.
Let me see if I haven't checked in a while. Let me see if he's.
I can only tell you that my husband uses Viking beard oil. Does he like it? I have no idea, but he only gets to wear a beard during Mardi Gras season, which is our gasparilla down here. So
I don't even remember the last time I had a smooth face.
Yeah,
and I've trimmed this thing back quite a bit where it's like barely there too. My wife fucking
beard is
hates
not
it.
for everybody though. Not everybody can pull off a beard.
True.
Oh wait, he went back. He must no. Last post was 105 weeks ago. I don't know how many weeks ago January 6th was, but
about 2 years ago. So that would have been roughly March 2022.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, hold on. Doctor strikes again. Dr. Americo says Hoffman Space Boy Root Beer Float Beard Oil.
Ooh, I am gonna Google that right now.
Hoffman's. All right, let me grab that comment. There we go. Bam. Hoffman Space Boy. Dr. Americo, I'm presuming is he him. This dude is fucking on point.
For sure.
Awesome.
The only reason
All right, guys.
is because we get an avatar and Dr. Americo.
Now that we've made it to root beer beards, I think it's time to go.
Good night, y'all.
Now I'm curious, like root beer fucking beards.
Order it, smell it. You're gonna like it.
I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna copy this comment before I fucking lose it. Hoffman Space Boy root beer beard oil. Like, yeah, I did not envision the conversation going this way, but fuck it. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate
you later,
it.
man. Bye bye.
All right, take care.